A story in 5 words.
Global march doesn't end well. Chris, this story couldn't have gone better if I had mapped it myself. Far-left anti-Israel activists from over 80 countries, including the great Luxembourg. Shout out to all you Luxembourgers. They recently attempted a global march to Gaza, but Egyptian police and pissed-off locals shut it down. These were mostly white Westerners, and they're all being sent home by a culture that has no use for them. What say you?
Well, they didn't have the agitators, right? Mm-hmm. And without the agitators, you don't have a visual feast for the cameras. Mm-hmm. You don't have anarchy. You don't have fires being set and all that craziness that we have here, that we tolerate here in America. And so for me, my mom was born in Greece. Mm-hmm. So if you go and spray paint death to Greece on the, I don't know, Acropolis or the Parthenon, you would spend probably the rest of your life in jail eating olives. So, like, it was uneventful because you didn't have the agitators there. And in America, we tolerate that, which you should obviously have the freedom to speak your mind and to protest, but peacefully. And it was peaceful, but it didn't get attention.
Yeah, that's a great point. They didn't have the buffer zone of people protecting them. Tyrus, did you love this story?
I love this story, and you know I don't research because it's racist.
Yes.
But I have to read this part because I giggled like a schoolgirl because this is what's wrong with virtue signaling and all these little groups. I have to put, 50. And it starts, this is just a banger. This is in quotes. Predictably, the would-be white saviors reacted with indignity when the uppity brown locals violently resisted their march. Then they resorted to anger and vitriol as they chanted Egypt on buses, taking them to their waiting planes. So once again, it's virtue signaling Karens who showed up to help the locals, and the locals said, get the out of my neighborhood. You're causing a traffic jam. I'm just trying to get falafel or whatever it is they're trying there. And they're blocking up the streets. And this is what happens is Queer for Palestine, all that stuff. You wanted to march down here. And then the Egyptians did another thing that particularly upset the virtuous liberals is, hey, you're not from here. We're taking your passport and kicking your ass out. So they got a around and find out from the good people of Egypt how they deal. And we should take a page out of how they deal with their riots and virtue signaling protest stuff, because they just said, oh, you're not supposed to be here? Or you don't want to be here? And they sent them away. Yeah. And the locals, it was children.
Yes.
Children were running in the streets going, get off my street. Why are you here? Why are you here?
You know, Kat, it's a shame that they were in Egypt and none of the protesters could run to Mummy. You see what I did there? Just one little change in the letter.
Yeah, no, I don't get it. Can you explain?
How so?
Yeah.
Do you kind of give them a little bit of credit? Because unlike our pampered student activists, at least they took the trip. Maybe?
No, I actually don't. I think this is a shameful neglect to Google.
Yes.
I think it's a great example of we just have phones in our pockets. We have all this information. I'm pretty type B. I do go to a place that looking at like restaurants nearby, but I wouldn't do something like this without taking the time to see how I might be received.
Yes.
It's really, it is alarming to me.
Yeah.
It's actually, I'm surprised that they were this surprised that it turned out this way.
Yeah, they didn't do the proper research.
Yes.
Because research
is racist.
Is racist.
Right.
You know, Joe, I'm not comparing Egyptians to bears or lions. Jim, what did I call him?
You called me Joe.
Joe, did I do that before once?
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Because like coffee, you put me in your mouth.
Well, this show just took a turn.
Yeah,
It's really amazing that this segment got us there.
Yes. and what's also incredible is that came out so quickly.
Yeah.
There wasn't any thought. This just happened. So, you know, but it reminds me of people who think they can climb into a zoo enclosure thinking, oh, I'm different. Yeah. Like the bears and the lions will be able to cohabitate with me. Again, not to compare animals to humans, but it's like the cluelessness is similar in a way.
There is nothing worse than a guilt-ridden white person.
Yeah.
Because they're LARPing. They're going. I don't respect them for taking the trip either, because they're doing it because they're people who feel guilty about how privileged and spoiled they are. So what they want to do is they want to go on a trip and be a part of a happening, and they want to come back with a story and go, "I was there.
Yes.
We did something." But they don't really want to sacrifice anything for real. Like, all you need to know about these people is when DeSantis sent a bunch of migrants to Martha's Vineyard, they couldn't have gotten them out of Martha's Vineyard fast enough. And then they talked about how enriching the whole experience was.
Yes. They even called in the National Guard for that.
And they were like, we don't have the resources. They have more money than all of us. They have giant houses. But that shows you who they really are. So whenever I see this, it's just a bunch of white people who want to be attached to a story so they have something to tell their friends. Like, we were there, and, I tell you, bub, it's bad. You know?
Yes. Luxembourg. All right, up next, David Mamet joins us. Don't go away.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.